Hi there, Mavis Ureke here. I'm a human behavior specialist and I specialize in understanding why do we do what we do or why don't we do what we're supposed to do. So it's beginning of the year and we know that most of us set goals or some have given up on setting their goals because they never achieved them. But for some of us that still set goals, sometimes we are unable to achieve most of the goals. Now, I spoke about setting emotional goals in my previous video. I hope you have seen it. If you haven't, get your hands on it because I was explaining the fact that emotions are the fuel that we need to actually get stuff done. So, emotions are the drivers of action or inaction. Now, if your goals are not anchored emotionally, chances are you will not achieve them. But when your goals are anchored emotionally, you will achieve them. So in this video, I want to explain how do we anchor our goals emotionally. So anchoring your goals with emotional connection. When your goals are anchored emotionally, you actually achieve them. Because remember we said emotions are the drivers of action or inaction. Now, how do we anchor our goals emotionally? The first thing that we need to do is that we need to do an emotional assessment. You cannot create from a depleted state or you cannot create from a negative emotional state. So you need to check where you are emotionally before you can actually anchor your goals emotionally. So how do you feel about life? How do you feel about life? How do you feel about the work that you do? So if you look at the 7 key areas of your life, because basically when we set goals in the key life zones, the key life areas of our life, and that those areas include your social life, your mental life, it includes your spiritual life, it includes your physical, your financial, and your family life. So if you're setting goals, you're setting goals in those life zones. But now you need to ask yourself, where are you emotionally, socially? Where are you emotionally, mentally? How do you feel about yourself, your confidence, your thinking capability, your perspective of life? And then how do you feel about the work that you do currently? How do you feel about the work that you do? How do you feel physically, the way you look? How do you feel about your body? How do you feel about, your ability to get things done? How do you feel about your physical energy? How do you feel about your spirituality? How do you feel about your spirituality? How do you feel about your finances? How do you feel about your money? How do you feel about where you are financially? And then how do you feel about your family? You may have set goals to spend more time with your children, but how do you feel about your children? How do you feel about your husband? Think about the roles that you play in life. How do you feel about each role? As a wife, as a mother, as a boss, or as a customer care person? How do you feel about all the different roles that you play? So you're doing an emotional assessment just to check where you are. How do you currently feel? So if you are aware of how you currently feel, you might want to then process that emotion. So if you're currently frustrated in one area of your life, you want to ask yourself, why are you frustrated? What is frustrating you? Because I think when you actually do an emotional assessment, it helps you to review your goals. Because if you use a scale, for example, if you say, as a wife, if I were to rate myself, the way I feel as a wife, if you currently rate yourself as a 4, so it means you can set a goal. How do I get it to 10? So you've already started emotionally anchoring the goal. You see now you are at 4. How do you get to 10? What do you need to do to get to 10? So you can now review your goals as well, because then your goals must be able to actually progress you or expand you to get you to the next level. It should not just be a list of things that we need to acquire, but it should be goals that expand us, that grow us, that progress us. So you can now review and say, okay, socially, how do I feel about my friends? I actually was having a discussion with my husband, and I was talking about I this year want to grow authentic connections, like people that I can feel real with, that can help me and propel me to the next level. They can also become my accountability partners going forward. So, how do you feel about your friends? How do you feel about your work? How do you feel about your finances? Then, wherever you are, if it's a 4, if it's a 3, then you need to then set a goal aligned to those life zones to grow to the next level. So, do an assessment and check where you are. Now, like I said, your goals must be able to expand your emotional range. If you have listened to the video that I spoke about setting emotional goals, you can now go back to your emotional goals and see the emotions that you want to experience or need to experience for you to achieve your goals. For example, I went to my own list of goals and I looked at the emotional range and said, what are the emotions that I need to experience? What is the emotional range? How many emotions? I mean, what is the energy that I need for the journey for 2017? So I saw that I need joy, I need peace, I need interest, love, courage, determination, happy, passion, confidence, hope, faith, serenity. So my emotional range is big. I can also even expand it further. So the emotional range. What is your emotional range? Right. Remember, we said goals must be able to expand us, which means we must be able to feel more emotions. Feel more emotions. Now, once you are aware of what your emotional range is, remember your emotional range will determine how creative you are or how stable you are as you go forth. Okay, what do I mean by that? Think about an airplane. An airplane is set before it leaves. It's programmed with the positioning of the destination before it leaves, before it takes off. So now that you know what your emotional range is, you are programming yourself before you take off so that if you hit a turbulence, you know exactly where to go back. So what happens with an airplane is that it takes off, it's been programmed, but once it is in the air, it usually hits turbulence. But because it's been programmed with the position of the destination, it often goes back to find the route. So it realigns, it goes back to the route so that it can still get to the destination. So that's what we also need to do. The emotions, remember what I said in the previous video that emotions are the beginning, but they're also the end. It's what we need to feel after we've achieved our goals, but it's also what we need to actually feel to achieve our goals. So we are actually positioning, we are programming ourselves so that we know where to go back to when we hit turbulence. So when we are going through the journey of achieving our goals or pursuing our goals, we're going to hit challenges. We are going to, the external environment will will present us with challenges. So the question you might want to ask is I'm pursuing my goals, am I going to feel disappointed? Yes, things will change, things will not go according to my plan, someone will say something, yes, I'll get disappointed, but I know where to get back to. Will I get angry? Certainly. Someone will frustrate me, the economic environment will change, the plan might not go as I wanted it to, so I might feel angry, fearful, frustrated, or anxious. But do I know where to go back to? Yes, I have my emotional range. So when I feel angry, I can activate myself to go back to those positive emotions, which are the energy that I need to pursue my goals. So I know exactly where to go back to. If you don't set your program, if you don't program or position your destination with your emotion, chances are when you hit turbulence, you don't know where to go back to. So you get confused and the mind doesn't actually help you to go back on track. So you need to know, raise awareness by knowing where you need to go back to when you hit turbulence. Okay, so your emotional range is key. Become aware of it so that when you hit turbulence, you can realign yourself. So we are anchoring our goals emotionally. We anchoring our goals emotionally. Also, one of the things that you also need to do is, so once you go back to your emotional range, you can actually go one by one and say, one of the emotion I need to feel is joy. And get yourself into the state of joy. How would you feel when you are extremely happy or joyful? How would you feel in your body? So you are programming, you're anchoring. How would you feel in your body? Who is around you? What's happening around you? So feel the joy in your body. Feel the joy in your body. Okay. Now, once you are feeling that emotion, ask yourself, in that state of joy, in that state of love, in that state of peace, what will you be able to do? What are you able to do? Who would you be if you felt that emotion? Who would you be if you actually connect with that emotion and you experience that emotion? So we need also to feel these emotions regularly. Get into the habit of going to your emotional range and activate the emotion that you need to experience. I was reading in the Bible, there's a verse that says, where love. Okay, where love, which means we can actually activate love. We can feel it. We can activate it. We can wear it. Just like clothes, you can take off love. You can also wear love. So you can activate an emotion. Each time you want to experience any emotion, you can actually activate it. But you need to become aware of what is the emotion that I need to activate, so that you don't actually become just reactionary, or you are on autopilot to react to events that's happening around you. But you can respond to whatever is happening you by choosing what emotion you want to experience. So understand this. Now you need to just reflect on your goals again, to just ask yourself, how are my goals going to expand me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically? Okay, mentally, what thoughts will I think if I'm feeling joyful? For example, if you look at your emotional range, what thoughts will I have when I wear love? Okay, what is a range? We already spoke about the emotional range. What is the quality of emotions that I'm going to experience? And then physically, how will I feel? How will that energize me? Because understand, negative emotions are draining. So if you set your goal to experience positive emotions, at least I work with the 80-20 rule. I always say, let me experience positive emotions 80% of my time. Remember, we said we also need negative emotions to grow. So, but they should not be the dominant emotions. So you will feel angry, you will feel frustrated, fearful, you will have loss, grief, but it should not be the dominant emotion. It must come and go. You must release it. So how will I grow spiritually? How will I grow spiritually if I experience these emotions? Now, once you are aware of that, you also need to go back to think about your disciplines. Now, understand, to achieve a goal, there's certain actions, there's certain habits that you need to achieve. One of the habits you can actually do is that of emotional connection. So regularly reflecting and emotionally connecting with your goals. So what are the disciplines? What can you do for you to achieve your goals? So remember, anything that's not scheduled will not be done. So if one of your goals is to spend quality time with your children, when are you going to do it? Block time on your calendar consistently to do that. If one of your goals is to, so I was actually working on one of my goals this morning, which is to increase, I want to get more clients, more customers. So what am I going to do? So I have committed to a video every week must go out to my social network. I must also write a blog, an article every month. Not every month, actually every week it must go out. A quote, an inspirational quote. So I was working on these things. What do I need to do? So I schedule. When do I do it in the week? When do I get to do it in the week, so that I can actually create new disciplines or new habits that can help me to achieve my goal in terms of increasing clientele base or attracting new clients. So based on your goals that you have written down, what do you need? What are the disciplines? What do you need? And disciplines can include, just like I said, reflection, emotional connection. Disciplines can include increasing your knowledge. So you need to learn something, read something. So again, I'm in the habit of reading at least 4 books a week. If I fail to read 4, at least I read 2 books a week. But I try to read 4 books a week. It's a discipline. What does that do? It expands my mental awareness. And what do I read about? I read about the particular subject that I'm passionate about, which is emotions. So most of the time I read about emotions with spirituality, emotions and performance, emotions and finance, emotions and emotions and physical wellness or health. So I read regularly to increase my mental capacity in the subject that I'm passionate about, which is the bigger goal, to expand myself to understand human behavior. So you also see that most of the goals that I've set, they're incremental, they are progressive, they support my bigger vision, which is to grow and become an expert in the field that I am passionate about, right? So schedule, have disciplines. When, how often, when do you do it? Now understand this. If you're in construction, the higher the building, the deeper the foundation. In fact, I've actually learned that, um, you know, the depth, the height of the building is determined by the height of the building determines the depth. So it means the higher your goal, the deeper you need to go internally. The deeper you need to anchor that goal internally. So there's a 1/3 rule in construction that says, If the building is high, the depth of the foundation should be 1/3 of the height. So now, depending on how big your goal is, you need to anchor it internally. Anchor your goal internally so that you can achieve the visible, the one that is outside. If you don't anchor your goals internally, chances are it will flop. You will not be able to achieve it. So this is anchoring your goals emotionally, and I wish you all the best. Let's go for our goals. Let's anchor them emotionally and let's go for them. All the best in 2016.